outside the Ford Center today as Thunder tickets went on sale, and the exhibition season is underway. It's pro basketball season here in Oklahoma City. Welcome to the NBA and OKC video show with Mike Baldwin from the Dodge Sports Desk. I'm Deputy Sports Editor Mike Kaler. Joining me today to talk about the NBA is Mike Baldwin. Mike, let's get around to the big news of the NBA, and that's the league came out with its version of the Mitchell Report, which said that Tim Donaghy acted alone in, affecting the outcome of the games, basically. Does this close the issue with the NBA now that this report's come out, or is this going to simmer for a little while?
Well, different than steroids, it's not a hot button topic that you hear on the radio, people talking about it at church or at work all the time. But what it did is more than close the door, I think it opened the door that what we wrote about and some of the people were buzzing about is a lot of NBA teams, Mark Cuban's known to be doing this a lot, complain about certain officials take baggage from previous games and carry it over to the next time they call that team a certain player, a certain team. And what little the report looked into this, they said, we don't think so, but we need to look at it more. Well, now they've hired a guy to do a statistical analysis from the last 4 years of guys that called games with certain teams. Let's see if anything pops up. They bring some Army general retired to come in to run the referees, and they say, now we're going to monitor it closely and tell our referees about it. So I think if nothing else, it did prove that Donaghy probably was the only one that was involved with gamblers, which is a big no-no and could have really taken the sport down. But what it also did, though, was open the door to that there is a lot of bickering and whining and working officials and all that. And the crazy part is Stern last week basically, can we all just hold hands and get along and quit whining about the officiating?
And like, forget about this for a little while.
And so I think it is going to help make a better ref-free product, I think, in the long run, even though that wasn't the intention of the report.
But you're right, that it's something that Cuban's been talking about for a little while, and he even did, I think, he ran his own numbers and said, well, when this guy calls our game, we get this many more fouls and everything like that. Is that just kind of a natural thing out of basketball, though? I mean, you see it's the same small groups kind of with each other all the time.
Well, I think part of it's just human nature. I mean, it's a baseball home plate umpire that occasionally kicks a guy out, or he accused him of a white strike zone. It's somebody you work with at the office. It's hard to just say yesterday was yesterday, today's today. But officials, umpires, referees, they're supposed to let yesterday be yesterday and call today's game exactly fairly. So part of it is how realistic is it for human nature not to get involved, but for the NBA to look into it, I think you'll at least curb this a little bit.
All right, we mentioned this at the top, and that was the ticket sales over at the Ford Center. On Tuesday morning, individual game tickets went on sale. You talked to some of the people who were lined up. Does it look like those are going to go pretty quick too?
Well, we didn't know for sure at this taping whether they're all going to go the very first day, but we do know the Celtics, LeBron James and the Cavs, all those guys, they went really quickly the first hour or so, and so that's the sign that they're all going to go. It'll come down to whether people want to settle for the Timberwolves or settle for the Grizzlies and those. How long will that take? Does that take 1 day, 2 days? But there's no question, I think this arena is going to be sold out all season long. And the one thing I did find out is I thought people would be a little more disappointed that the Cavs game went quickly, and by the time they got in line between online, phone, and down at the box office, those tickets were gone. But I think a lot of people went in with a realistic view, knowing that only 1,000 to 1,500 went on sale. And we're hearing they also gave some of the season ticket waiting people first shot yesterday in advance, which was only fair too. So maybe some of those people get to see some of the marquee games. But it's a sign this arena is probably going to be borderline sellout all year long. It's just a question of when. They're still working on group sales and a couple other things. But if this season's basically sold out, it's going to be, that in itself is going to create a lot of excitement around town.
Oh yeah, I'm sure people are just going up and saying, what do you got? At some point, just so they can get in the building.
Some people were excited that, my wife loves Yao Ming, we got Houston. Some people, I got some of the last Phoenix Suns with Nash, and some of them are depending on what teams. They hadn't trickled down to Memphis and Minnesota and some of those yet. But, a lot of people were glad just to get tickets, and they said that's the reason they went down there the first day, is they knew day 2, 3, and 4, there may not be any left.
All right, let's talk about another big news out of the league this week, and that's the announcement that the NBA wants to put instant replay into certain situations. The teams are voting on it. The proposals are basically that they would review shots to decide whether they were three-pointers or not. They would review shots to see if there were fouls on three-pointers or two-pointers, and then the whole deal to look at when the clock expires, if the clock malfunctions at the end of a quarter or a game. Do you think that this is something that we're going to see eventually in the NBA, and that is this a good move for the league to make?
We probably will see it. We've seen it in every other sport. I mean, football, how do you not watch a college or NFL game and it's a real close call and it either goes for or against your team? You're like, well, they're going to go look at it in the booth anyway. Baseball's finally even come around on the home run ball. I mean, I think it's just the modern technology. The only thing you hate is if it really slows down a game. So just don't abuse it. Don't every three-pointer. I mean, late in quarters with the shot clock and game clock, those are big issues. You need to use those. Any of these replay rules on any sport is just do not abuse it.
All right, finally, this is something that we even talked about today around the office. John Hollinger from ESPN came out today and wrote a story about James Posey, the guy from the Celtics who went to the Hornets, and talks about how this might get the Hornets over the hump. They'll be a legitimate title contender. I know that you like the Hornets' chances this year. Could this possibly be true? These guys who came in and won, 19 games or
the year before they
the
came
year
here.
before they came.
Yeah.
Could these guys contend for a title? Is this true?
Without question, they can contend for a title, and we're going to have our preseason predictions in the Sunday before the season comes out. Don't be surprised if I'm the guy out on the limb by himself that says they might win the whole thing this year. I'm still debating, but I'm leaning towards Hornets over Celtics in the finals. I mean, they were last year Game 7 at home away from being San Antonio to play the Lakers. Only finished one game behind the Lakers for home court advantage in the West last year. I think Posey is that last missing link. And also remember they had a rookie out of Kansas last year that played a minor role that I think will play a little bigger role off the bench this year. That it is kind of crazy, isn't it? The team that was here and we were just going to watch them and have fun with them, we saw them get pretty good. And then when they left town, they got real good. And I think they're definitely one of the 4 or 5 teams that could win it all this year, no doubt.
Oh, I'm just being funny because I picked them to go to the finals last year. You know,
they were that close too, and I mean the Hornets, they're really good, and there's going to be 4 or 5 teams that have a legitimate shot. And just like the Devil Rays in baseball, or now the Rays, I guess you call them, some teams come out of nowhere. You don't know who that team's going to be right now, but the teams everybody likes going in are the Lakers, the Hornets, and Spurs, the Celtics, maybe the Pistons. After those 5, everybody's just taking a shot. But those are the 5 teams most people like in preseason.
I mean, usually it's the NFL where it's like, who knows who's going to be in the Super Bowl this year. Is it all because of Chris Paul? And is there any hope that the Thunder can get out of that where we can build a nucleus around one good young guy?
Well, I think without question that's going to be the fun thing to monitor this year is everything we've been hearing in preseason camp is Green and Durant were all rookie last year, really good. PJ raves about how hard they worked this summer and how much better their games are. This is going to be year 2. By the time you get years 3 and 4, I don't know if any of them will ever be Chris Paul good. He arguably was the best player on that Olympic team. I mean, him and Kobe and some of those other guys. We're talking Chris Paul. We watched him grow up here that rookie season. Everybody thought he had a chance to be good. He was really good. Whether those guys can get top 2 or 3 players in the league like Kobe, LeBron, Chris Paul good, I don't know. But I think they can both be in the top 15, 20 players in the league. Durant may be even higher. And if they are, this team has a chance to really improve in the next 2 or 3 years, become a factor in the West. So it's going to be a fun year for the fans to grow with this team, learn these guys, and find out they do have 2 pretty special players themselves in Durant and Green and some pretty decent players around them.
Yeah, that much more pressure on Russell Westbrook. All righty, thanks, Mike. Be sure to follow Mike Baldwin and Darnell Mayberry's in-depth coverage of the NBA and the Thunder all season long on newsok.com, thundermadness.com, and every day in the Oklahoma.